since like 2018. I think that he's really got what it takes today to do this. So here we have in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, the red Terran player from Team Exxon. He is special.
Top left-hand side, it is the blue Terran player, o mais grande do mundo. It is Kelazhur.
Still going. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, man. So we already got some proxy shenanigans happening over here, but no, in all seriousness, Paulo, like I totally agree with you. I actually, in seriousness, I do think the scores are oftentimes not very telling of the series that these guys usually play. Kelazhur actually is, in a lot of ways, like very competitive with the games versus SpeCial, but SpeCial does just tend to win out with the small little edges in the long term. But, I'll say like, hey, if SpeCial is going for something like a proxy opening like this, doesn't work out, Kelazhur gets a good start, like I could totally see him bringing this back.
Absolutely. I think momentum is so important for Kelazhur as well. In this matchup, he is usually the aggressor. This time around, it's SpeCial kind of flipping the switch here and going on the aggression against Kelazhur. And we'll see what he's able to accomplish. I mean, he's making one Reaper back at home, or that he's already crossing the map with, and he has this proxy barracks. So Kelazhur has to be really careful not to get caught with this Reaper out on the map. And I don't know, somehow sniff this.
So far, I mean, we have our first two Reapers now popping on out. Just the timing of these two Reapers should be enough of a reveal that, hey, like, why was your second Reaper here so fast? My first Reaper just popped. That is a very clear and obvious sign that's not only the two Rex, but we do have probably the proxy coming on out over here. So Reactor immediately starts up over there for Kelazhur. He's got his factory producing that first Hellion, and he's actually going to start up his starport regardless. He doesn't really want to get too delayed here.
Yeah, I'd love to see a bunker or something on the low ground because this is still a little bit dangerous, and he should, like you were saying, anticipate that there is a second barracks out on the map. This was a little bit of a blessing in disguise, I gotta say, Ravi, because the Reaper was so far forward that SpeCial never got the surprise jump on that Reaper. And it's very easy to catch it once you see it. If you get close enough with two Reapers, you're definitely gonna kill it. Instead, Kelazhur gets to keep his first Reaper, and now with the Hellions, he might have enough, but very good micro from SpeCial.
No kidding. Gets two of, or basically like all the Reapers there for Kelazhur in exchange for two of his own Reapers, and can continue to deny and delay this command center. I think he can just sacrifice his Reaper for the SCV, but he actually gets one of the Hellions first, then is going to move back in. Has the barracks landed inside of Kelazhur's natural for I don't know what reason, but hey,
yeah, I was trying to figure
there. I was like, is he blocking something? I guess if SCVs got pulled? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the barracks was about landing there, but pretty cool moves around SpeCial. Like the micro that I was talking about was mainly just making sure that there are no good lines for the Hellions to do their AoE damage, so they become effectively like single target units if you spread your units correctly and if you split them correctly. And SpeCial did a wonderful job at that.
Well, the Cyclone now out. It looks like Kelazhur is eye on the prize. He's going to go after that barracks, knowing that, hey, I took care of all of your Reapers. You really don't have a whole lot on the map right now. My Marines are safe. I can take care of this. Shut down your scouting information. We'll see where he can go from there, because he does actually have one singular Hellion just sitting outside of SpeCial's base. Keep an eye out on things, but he's going to be just, the quick third base follow-up over here for SpeCial. He's going to be pinned back for a bit, and he's okay with it.
Yeah, that's a great assessment here. I would love to see Kelazhur take his own third. Maybe he thinks there's extra potential for aggression, or he feels like he defended the starting aggression well enough that he can kind of just sit back. But if he's not dropping a CC soon, which I think he's not doing it, then I think he has to do some damage here. Maybe when their second Raven pops up, or I'm not sure if there's a common timing. I wish Nate could intervene here to tell us what's going on, because I feel like if Kelazhur doesn't do something soon, Ravi, it's gonna start falling behind economically.
I agree with you. There's going to be finally the third CC coming on down there for Kelazhur. I was going to say, like, in terms of two-base attacks and stuff, with the positioning of Special's buildings, I actually think there's maybe something there because there's that location just on the low ground of the third base. If you get a siege up over there, you can actually deny the factory from producing with that tech lab, maybe even the starport as well. So I feel like there's definitely something that can be done there if you get in the right position. But, you know, there's a whole other story of actually getting into an advantageous position like that versus someone like SpeCial.
Yes, indeed. Very cool positioning of the Cyclone as well at the edge of the, you know, so that he can run away as fast as possible through that. What is it called? It has a proper name. What is it? I just call it SpeCial.
Accelerator.
Acceleration.
It's acceleration zone generator.
Oh, I see. Acceleration.
You can actually click on them. They're actual objects you can click on.
I just did. Wow, that's crazy. I had never done that before.
Yeah. You're going to have a little Cyclone action in the center, and they're both going to lose their Cyclones. But SpeCial gets the important information that this move out is in fact happening. So he's going to have the opportunity to realize he's got to identify, am I getting hit from the top right or the bottom left here? I need to get my units in position there.
Yeah, and he's sending out one Marine at a time to do exactly just that and look for that information as Kelazhur tries to position into a favorable spot to siege somewhere. There's no medevacs, however, so it's not an option for him to drop. They both have Ravens, but Kelazhur has a little bit more energy to work with, as well as Vikings. So this is looking decent for the Brazilian. In so long as he can break through this position, he'll have to disable those two tanks before going for it.
And not finding the opportunity to actually just go in for the hard disable, though, because I think he might be waiting for Stim. Stim is, I think, about 20 seconds away, 15 seconds away from finishing. That is what he's going to need to actually seize the opportunity once those interference matrices go down.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he was looking for, but at the same time, it might be a little bit too late to capitalize, though I think he might just go up that very narrow choke. Kelazhur has to be very, very careful. He's not getting as many reinforcements as quickly as SpeCial is. One of the Ravens will be taken down. Both of the Ravens on either side get taken down. One from Kelazhur with full energy, sadly for him. So he's not going to be able to do too much, as SpeCial now has air control as well with a greater number of Vikings. Kelazhur will be pushed back.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty rough for Kelazhur, but he does at least keep, keeps a Marine alive that snipes off an extra Viking there and keeps two of his tanks alive. Not having your tank count completely reset after that fight is really nice, and funny enough, you look at the tank counts right now, Kelazhur's actually up those two tanks. Those two tanks are actually putting him in the lead by 2 tanks.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's 10 workers behind from having that much later third command center. He is trying to catch up as far as a fourth is concerned, and this game will stabilize. That is one of the things about TVT, is that, you know, advantages like this are very difficult to roll through with, which is part of where I think SpeCial gets his edge against Kelazhur. Is like Kelazhur gets little edges, like we saw from the great defense at the start, but then it's very difficult to punch back, right? And so TVT games can really extend fairly long if the player is good enough at positioning defensively, essentially.
I definitely agree, and positional play is just one of the most important skills to have when you're playing a Terran versus Terran. I feel like it is the most decisive thing in this matchup, which can make it both fun and frustrating depending on what kind of player you are. But drop gets spotted out over there by Kelazhur, and he is going to have a couple of Vikings and that Raven in position in that dead airspace area, ready to intercept the drop if it still decides to move in over there. SpeCial tries to move from a different angle, finds another Marine, and the Marine finds him.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, all to your point, right, of how important positioning is. That is why these players are valuing the information from this Marine so much, and that's why there's Marines scattered all over the place at all points, trying to look where the army is coming from so that you can be ready and in position to greet it.
Yeah, exactly. You see the exact same thing you were talking about from SpeCial as well, and as our wonderful observer is showing us all of the different Marines scattered around the map. But even the sensor towers are starting to come on up. Supply depots that are going to actually be acting as spotters down over here in that dead airspace area for Kelazhur. Really, really like all the little maneuvers that both of these players are making, and even just the small one-on-one Marine skirmishes for fighting that tiny bit of, map control.
Yeah, absolutely. I really love the way that how methodical and meticulous Kelazhur is in positioning of his sensor towers, whereas SpeCial is a little bit more loose with them, as you can see on the minimap, right? Like there's no space to run past Kelazhur's sensor tower. At the same time, while SpeCial does leave a little space, it's almost bait because he has the Vikings and the Ravens roaming around.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, Kelazhur getting caught by a lot of Marines over here. He's going to end up having to pick up and evacuate with some of the Marines and the 2 medevacs, but that is maybe half of the army getting out, and I don't even know if they'll get out.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. He's getting sandwiched, though most of the army is coming from the north. At least Kelazhur is able to reposition the rest of his army defensively to protect this planetary fortress, though there is not really a tank in range to actually protect to actually shield the planetary fortress. So SpeCial already getting a decent position where he can actually start sieging at least the gas, but I think he even has the room to where he could siege the PF.
Maybe, yeah. I think it could be really close. I feel like Kelazhur might just barely have had a siege tank in range. Barely, but okay. Looks like Kelazhur's going to be able to get a couple of free pot shots off on those siege tanks on the low ground. Snipes off 2 of them in exchange for 1. And is going to be able to deny the move up the ramp for a bit, but all of the Marines are on the south side looking to move through the bottom ramp, and Kelazhur's just going to be out of position for it.
Yeah, he sure is. Now he's running with the rest of his army there. He does have a good amount of Marines. Very good Dorito cannons, as they are often called. And Kelazhur seems to have a grip on this, though that tank could, if that tank falls, then the rest of the Marines from SpeCial can really swarm in. The tanks from Kelazhur not yet sieged. Here comes SpeCial. It's a big attack. Is he going for the CC? No, he's just gonna have to back away as the siege happens, but not before doing some damage and taking down a gas as well.
Yeah, taking down the gas is definitely nice, although Kelazhur does still have a little bit of a bank he's working through right now as he continues to try and macro up during all of this aggression while trying to keep his air superiority alive. He's got these Vikings down in the air, so he's not going to have to scan to get these pot shots off, but he is going to have to be so careful about this. SpeCial gonna find an opportunity to actually dive into the main base with a double medevac drop. Kelazhur quick to react, slams off one of the medevacs before it fully unloads, but doesn't have quite enough Marines just yet to clean it up.
Yeah, the real story behind all this is the monstrous macro of SpeCial. As we can see on the map, it's all red, and the fatter chunks of imagery are command centers, which is gonna make it so that he can continue to scale up in terms of economy whilst denying the 4th base of Kelazhur. This is turning very dicey for the Brazilian.
Kelazhur has been down in supply by quite a bit for a while, but it is starting to grow, especially now that it's just maxed out Juanito. He's going to be building up a bit of a bank and getting ready for the transition of those Liberators, ballistic missiles, getting closer and closer to finishing, but Kelazhur is going to finally go for the big break. He does manage to clean up all those siege tanks. He does manage to push his army back for a little bit with his own siege tanks, but again, it all ties back to the fact that, well, SpeCial gonna have at least traded out a little bit of supply now, and he can add in 4 Liberators at a time.
Yeah, I mean, the worker differential isn't that bad for Kelazhur. He is trying to establish a 5th, though I don't know that SpeCial is gonna allow him to. SpeCial is just taking more and more map control and dropping more and more CCs. That's kind of insurance, right? Like you were saying, he's already pumping out more units than Kelazhur can, and he's already maxed.
I'm really not sure how Kelazhur is going to be able to deal with just being so far behind in the Viking count now once those Liberators start coming on out. First Liberator has popped, but 3 are about to finish, and SpeCial's already putting on that aggression. Once those Liberators are there, SpeCial already has the Viking count lead. In fact, he's actually killing off the command center with the Vikings. As long as those Vikings for SpeCial stay alive, Kelazhur's going to constantly be losing ground.
Yeah, it's so difficult to throw in the towel of your Kelazhur because you still have such a hefty army. I imagine he's gonna try to make some sort of a miracle happen, but I mean, it's gotta be discouraging because he can't see the zones on the map, and SpeCial being positioned as aggressively as he is now, using his air control with Liberators. It's just a little too much, I think.
Yeah, disregards the Vikings, says, I don't need them anymore. Sacrifices them in for the kills on whatever he could muster, and well, that's not going to be the greatest trade there for SpeCial. It actually does give air superiority back to Kelazhur, but Kelazhur has already lost one of his bases, and he's in still a tough spot here just because of the raw macro you were talking about, Cats. I I do think it was a little over eager and aggressive there for Special. Just literally A-move his Vikings in though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is just kind of the mark of Special. Not to make it sound like he's not one of the best players in the world. He is, but he is a macro-oriented, most macro-heavy Terran. So a lot of the time his trades don't look like the best thing ever, but his macro behind it is always pristine, right? His base management is very reminiscent of Brood War players that are macro-oriented players, and I mean that's kind of like where Special comes from, right? So it really shows.
I think that's a great way of putting it. Kind of interesting, we do see a return to some more Ravens for both these players, but it is Kelazhur who still already has 3 Ravens alive, and adding on 2 more to go up to 5, getting up the Raven energy upgrade, the COVID reactor. Really, really interesting as we're going to see like true late game TBT coming out soon.
Yes, indeed. I mean, I would call this late game TBT already. There's so many of those sensor towers out. But the problem is Kelazhur's transition looks so difficult to make. He has to really take a marvelous fight. And I mean, he has now established a few bases, Ravi. So maybe just a one big fight can bring him back into this.
Yeah, I really actually do feel like as long as Kelazhur is able to get into position using the sensor towers and really quick reaction times and good army positioning, I actually think he has what it takes, but he's going to be losing a lot of Vikings over here. But at the same time, the Ravens getting the interference rate just on all of these seasons is going to reset the tank count of Special.
Absolutely brilliant maneuver there from Kelazhur, landing 2 Seeker missiles onto the entire army, the reduction missiles, and then on top of that, disabling most of the tanks are Special, so he can just swarm in and take a very good trade while he is behind in command centers. If he can continue to do this, he's still in the game, surprisingly.
Yeah, the only weird thing I'll say is that he did sacrifice all of his Vikings to make that happen, so the air superiority kind of goes back to Special. And that does get dangerous because he also ended up sacrificing all of his Ravens in order to get that play off. So even that 1 Raven he has, or the 2 Ravens he's making right now, those are actually also going to be vulnerable to those Vikings of Special. So, I don't know. Like, I still see pathways for Kelazhur to make it work, but it's important to just, I guess, recognize that his big advantage is just how many Marines he has. And I would love to see him maybe finding ways to get a bit more aggressive and a bit more mobile with his army.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. The economy is definitely and has been in favor of Special for most of this game. And on top of that, his production is also a little bit better. So the ability to remax is definitely there for the Mexican more so than the Brazilian. Kelazhur is looking for a big flank here potentially, if not a straight up counterattack. I imagine it's going to be a flank as the Marines prepare to go from the low ground. There is a good anti-armor missile, but so many tanks, and I think this might be it, Robbie.
Special takes out all of those Marines, and Kelazhur is finally going to run out of steam. Special takes game number 1 in this best of 5. Really, really well played there by Special especially, but Kelazhur as well for just hanging in there from what looked to be kind of like not the greatest spot for a really long time.
Yeah, and this is kind of the story between Kelazhur and Special, though I feel like Kelazhur is such a good micro player that oftentimes he carves himself little advantages, but it is so very difficult to convert him against Special. And once Special gets grip of the game, he's just, you know, like if he does a little bit of damage, he also has a CC building. And that's just so difficult to deal with, it seems. And yeah, Kelazhur putting up a good fight, but really, I don't know, it's got to be demoralizing at the same time, right? It's like things went your way and you still ended up losing.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there are like maybe 1 or 2 moments in that game that you can kind of look back to and be like, oh, well, you know, Special just, he did manage to get like the good engagement that he needed to trade out effectively on top of all the macro that he had going. So he was able to just like get that lead and then maintain it even throughout the bad trades. So I'd love to see a game where Kelazhur can just get an early game lead and then maybe be able to convert that into a victory.
Yeah, and it really speaks to the frustration and perhaps a little bit of a mental block that Kelazhur might be struggling with right now, because right now, if you look at him, Ravi, he's in a replay, right? So that really goes to show that maybe he doesn't quite, you know, can make complete sense of what just happened, and or where he fell behind or what he might have been able to do. So it's a very difficult position, to be honest. I have no idea. I think maybe if Stim was a little bit better, a little bit earlier, to where he didn't give his hand away with the attack until he was ready to really hit, maybe could have been something. But I mean, SpeCial is just so beast.
No, I think that's a really good call out of just saying, Kelazhur, looking at the replay, confirming where everything was in that game for a little bit longer. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a bit of a frustrating position there for Kelazhur, but we're going to be getting ready to move into game number 2 on Pillars of Gold. Remember that this is not an elimination match, but this is going to determine who goes into the grand finals. And even if this ends up being a rematch, because, if Kelazhur somehow loses this series and goes down, faces Cham, if he manages to beat Cham, and it's just a rematch in the grand finals, you're like, oh, well, either way, like it's going to be Kelazhur SpeCial or something. It still matters because even in the grand finals, you start up with a 1-0 victory, or a 1-0 lead. So it's a pretty big deal to be able to just go straight to the grand finals, not have to face Cham, start with a nice little lead. This match is going to be worth quite a bit for both these players.
Absolutely, and especially this season more than any other season before. I mean, before I think both of these players might have looked at a matchup against Cham and felt bad if they lost. This time around, I mean, Cham beat Kelazhur last season to advance onto the grand finals, and he gave. I think actually he beat SpeCial as well to get to the grand finals. So. And then he barely lost in the grand finals, right? And like after the loser bracket played out. So, neither of these guys wants to play Cham. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and it was a 3-1 that Cham beat SpeCial in as well. So yeah, Cham is looking like a really good player these days. Not someone you would just take for granted. But guys, we're going to be moving into game number 2 here on Pillars of Gold. Starting up at the top right-hand side of the map, we have a red Terran player sitting up 1-0 in the Specified. It is SpeCial next on.
And in the bottom left-hand side, one of the nicest guys in all of the StarCraft scene, it is Diego Schwimmer, also known as Kelazhur. I recently heard Kelazhur give a piece of advice to someone that was getting a little bit exalted, and it was, you catch more bees with honey. I loved it. He's so wise.
That's a good piece of advice. It's better to be sweeter. I like that.
Yeah.
No, I think Diego is honestly one of my favorite people in the scene. He is, like you said, incredibly nice. In my mind, he is like taking the next mantle of someone like Chef as like nicest people in the scene.
Surely, yeah. And yeah, I've lived with the guy, so I can vouch for a long time. We lived together for something like 3 years, so I can really vouch for the fact that he is, through and through nice. I can't recall him ever getting like overly upset or really even like raising his voice or getting like visibly angry. It's just like he's a very even-keeled person, a very pleasant person to be around.
It's so funny you say that too, because like as you said that, in my mind, like I hear the voice of Diego when he's like kind of upset about something, but it's like that exasperated like, I mean, I wish that it was this way. And like that's him being really angry. You're like, oh Diego, oh no, I'm so sorry.
It's the least threatening position possible, even if he's raging from his perspective, it's like, okay.
He's like, oh man, I don't know what I should do here. He's like, that's him being angry and upset.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What a guy. Great guy.
What a guy indeed.
But
all right.
that guy is gonna have to find a way to start coming back in this series. Like again, he's had good moments in that last game, but it's like you said, he hasn't been able to convert them into like game-winning positions.
Indeed. Now he's going for Widowmine. I don't see this very often in TBT, so I'm not sure what that's looking for exactly. Do you have any ideas?
So I don't know 100%. I will say, like, part of the reason, by the way, you don't see this a lot in TBT is that, guys, Widowmines don't one-shot SCVs. Like, the one SCV it targets will get one shot. It does not splash damage kill the other SCVs, though. they all just survive with like 5 hit points or something, or 1 hit point. It's
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably more of a zoning thing. Like, I think it's there to catch Reapers if they decide to move across the map or something like that. I think that's what I usually end up seeing the Widow Mines for.
Yeah, I think it would be great if it gets a hit onto multiple units, but even if it hits like 1 unit, because it'll get taken down after, it's kind of difficult to justify. That said, I don't know. I don't really see much of it, so it might be kind of unexpected to where SpeCial, maybe runs in with at least the Cyclone, right? If you can trade the Cyclone for the Widow Mine, I'm not sure if the Widow Mine actually one-shots it, but probably need a unit nearby.
Yeah. That's actually a good question. I'm not sure if it does one-shot it, but I don't think we're actually going to see that come into play. Funny enough, the Banshee also getting scattered out over here by the Reaper early enough. Kelazhur actually has a nice little opportunity here if he really wants to try and take advantage of it. He's moving the Widow Mine to intercept the Banshee, and I love this.
It's going to get spotted by the Reaper, though, sadly.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, actually, a little bit of indecision there from Kelazhur, so the Widow Mine will burrow, but SpeCial will know exactly where it burrowed. With that said, now Kelazhur actually repositioning it and almost catching the Banshee.
It's kind of funny, though. It still is a hard zoning tool, right? You physically cannot move the Banshee into that area or it will die. Like, it's actually that simple. So I still like that he pulled it back to some degree, that he can still use it to zone.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And he's going to put it somewhere else now, because obviously SpeCial is most likely going to not run it to the same place. So unluckily for him, the Banshee is being, I think, pulled all the way back to be repaired. So there's not going to be a double prong for Raz, but Kelazhur is expecting that if SpeCial commits here at the front, that the mine could kill the Banshee as it comes in the back, which is a really nice move.
Yeah, I like that. And I feel like Kelazhur is always really good at those little micro mind game kind of maneuvers. I actually feel like he gets a lot of edges in his games off of that.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, he's a very smart player. He's always looking for the little edges. That's why he's so very good at micro in particular, right? And because that's so many of those small decisions. But I mean, he's gonna need a little bit more than that, a little bit more than a little bit of one unit kill and that type of bait to really break down SpeCial.
That's a few kills. That's definitely not too bad or shabby of a trade. It even gets the Cyclone without losing his own. Really, really nice. So
that was close.
Hey, Kelazhur, he's going to move across the map, and I actually don't know that there's that much around for SpeCial. He's doing some damage in the main base, by the way, of Kelazhur with the Banshee, I think.
Oh, man, and that Widow Mine would have killed the Banshee if it wasn't for the fact that it was repaired all the way. So both players kind of getting what they were looking for. I was thinking Kelazhur would at least get the defense or the cancel on the third. Instead, it's SpeCial actually getting aggressive onto the army of Kelazhur. A little bit surprising with those Ravens, because now he can't really use those Ravens to disable the tanks.
I just don't know if can Kelazhur still make this work. He doesn't have any reinforcements arriving either, so it's just actually these 6 or 7 Marines here. He's actually got the looks like SpeCial has the Viking count majority here, so he is going to win out in the air war as well.
Yeah, he's going to get the gas, but really nice scan, anticipating that SpeCial would move his tanks promptly, and he catches him in the process, where he's able to trade at least for 2 of those tanks.
Yeah. I think the big fear here, though, is that he had to get something done here. In a sense, this almost was an all-in for Kelazhur, because he has a 36C, but he's like not even mining from it. He's gonna be like 12, 13 workers behind. He's not starting any of his own upgrades. Like, I think maybe all-in's too strong of a word, but it was a pretty committed pressure, I feel like.
Yeah, it really was. All because SpeCial has already that third situated earlier, as per usual. It seems like he's just a macro defensive player compared to Kelazhur, and pokes with small groups of units, whereas Kelazhur is actively going for this basically timing attacks, and they're really just not working out.
Oh man, the Vikings also land to try and kill off a few units, but they actually just all go down to the Marines. They don't even get actually any SCVs for themselves. Kelazhur is now mining for the third, but he only now has 1 engineering bay. He gets started on a +1 weapons upgrade, a good bit behind. Like, I actually, from SpeCial, I actually feel like maybe Kelazhur's best opportunity to pull this game back, besides unless he like can really draw the game out, might just be capitalizing on the fact that he has combat shields now and SpeCial doesn't, but there's just no units left alive to do it now, Cats.
Yeah, and SpeCial is getting his home combat shield. I mean, it's going to be a very narrow window. I honestly don't know what Kelazhur should be doing. And look at that. SpeCial not only dropping that sensor tower, but also a fourth pretty much at the same time, right? Like, he will capitalize on disadvantages. He's not moving out. He's saying, come at me. I'm gonna, you know, get set up with my macro. And when I'm ready, you know, if I'm getting, you know, maybe near maxed or just has a strong timing to work with himself, he can move out. 1-1 is about to finish, well ahead of Kelazhur, so maybe this is it.
Yeah, and Kelazhur is actually looking for an opportunity to do some damage. He's going to get spotted by the spotter supply depot that even Kelazhur was actually trying to go for in that last game. He's going to see that and actually just ends up backing off. Guess what? There's another supply depot even a little bit further south, just in case Kelazhur comes in from that angle again.
Yes, indeed. Tied in with that 1-1. As soon as it finished, SpeCial probably got the Q and loaded up this medevacs. Good spotter marine from Kelazhur right outside of the range of his sensor tower. So very clever as well, because a good player, or you know, the ideal player, would move very close to the sensor tower to minimize travel distance without being spotted. So really cool moves by both players. And Kelazhur, this could be what he needs.
If he's paying attention, he could stand up and snap up one medevac, maybe? Ooh, doesn't quite get it.
Sad.
Yeah, just not able to catch any breaks over here. Kelazhur it doesn't look like he's like drastically far behind. He's actually pretty tied up in army supply. His overall supply is actually not that far behind, but it is just all these little things that are going to be adding up pretty quickly when the big fights start happening.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. He's a little bit behind here. He's a little bit behind there. And, you know, when you add it all up, it like feels like things just haven't been working in his favor. So, I mean, he's behind in upgrades. He's been trailing in economy. He really needs a huge fight to make turn of this. Oh, that's a little bit of an overcommitment. Even without the tank sieging, I'm not sure that he had more Marines.
Yeah, they're very even in the Marine counts right now. Looks like SpeCial has maybe 3 or 4 more Marines out on the map. But he's going to be going for a drop on the right-hand side. Kelazhur's going to be able to spot this, but now it's going to be about splitting up your units perfectly to actually handle that and keep your own 4th base alive while your opponent pressures your 3rd.
Yeah, Kelazhur is really hoping for another Doom drop as he has all of his Vikings pre-positioned. The scan goes down on SpeCial's army. SpeCial's going to wait for that scan as Kelazhur also pre-positions to try to take that army down without the siege of SpeCial. This jump is important, but it seems like SpeCial just getting a good trade here onto the planetary fortress with a very, very small squad of units.
Oh, no. No, surely you can't actually... Okay. I was like, surely you can't kill the planetary fortress with, you know, 7-8 Marines like that. But yeah, will be forced back. Will forced to lift off. SpeCial still got his main army still alive, and he's nearly maxed out again. He's just waiting for a few more reinforcements to arrive, and then he's going to go look to trade out and prevent Kelazhur from getting to his own max out and evening up that supply.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about. When SpeCial is just confident out on the map right now, he's maxed. He's taking the rest of the map as a result of having this map control, as a result of being out there. And right now he's happy to start trading, right? Because he can really afford to do that. He's already maxed. His army doesn't get any better.
Oh man, drop makes its way all the way to the furthest back corner of the main base. Kelazhur has to respect that. Looks like SpeCial's gonna try and stim up the ramp. He has an overwhelming number of Marines. He needs to break through that line, but still a few too many tanks. So now SpeCial's gonna rely on the scans to try and win that tank war, start to gradually whittle away at this. And behind this, I mean, Cats, you talked about this so much last game. It's just the macro. There's more bases being taken on SpeCial's side. He does need to be careful about how many units he's gonna be losing right here, though.
Yeah, and Kelazhur can really capitalize here, Ravi. I think that he can run across the map and take one of the outer bases, perhaps, like top left-hand corner would be nice, but not if he chases. He can't be too greedy. The army of SpeCial is still very scary if he catches it in position.
Oh, okay. If Kelazhur can actually dart up over here, snag this planetary fortress base with good positioning, then the top left-hand base is also going to be vulnerable.
Yeah, that is a huge, good positional advantage for Kelazhur to take. At the same time, that Liberator being a little bit annoying. But with air control on the Vikings here, I think that Kelazhur has a pretty strong siege.
Yeah, I think that's really important to mention, but it's also important to mention that, you know, Kelazhur really has to do quite a bit of damage over here, right? He's down 34 or 37 workers now. This has to be an actual kill on that planetary and going and killing that off that top left-hand base.
Yeah, I mean, the top left-hand base will be easy. If he knew about it, he would have already sent a couple of Marines there, perhaps. As it stands, with the tanks disabled, Kelazhur cannot take this fight. Beautiful Raven flank on the side of SpeCial is just gonna net him a straight-up victory here.
There's not a whole lot of coming back from that one, Cats. You know, sometimes TVT, positional play, you can make miracle comebacks. Not from that one. SpeCial takes a 2-0 lead in this best of 5. Is one game away from advancing to yet another grand finals.
Another
one.
He's missed any grand finals in like since the start of
Yeah, you know, if you say like Latin America as Copa America and WCS and all that stuff, I think it actually might have been like 6-7 years or something like that. But guys, we are going to be heading to a short break, giving these players a little bit of time before game number 3. Don't go anywhere. Conclusion of this series will be on this stream shortly.
Bienvenidos, potentially to the final game. If SpeCial is to close this out in, I would say, kind of regular fashion at this point, Ravi. He's just kind of an unstoppable train sometimes, it seems, when he gets going.
Yeah, I mean, sure, SpeCial won the first 16 series before that best of 1 that they played, which I also was alerted to, was actually not a TVT, it was a ZVP. Kelazhur played Protoss and SpeCial played Zurich. But, you know, the tides are changing, cats. You know, you can only win for so long before eventually someone comes in to topple your regime. Dylan, this is where the 3-0 reverse sweep comes in for Kelazhur. I can feel it.
All right. Well, let's see if your spider senses are gonna work this time, because this man looks unstoppable. He is in Exxon, and he is most certainly special.
And up here in the top left-hand side of the map, the blue Terran player, the daredevil himself, he is Diego Kelazhur. Schwimmer. Do you know why they call him? Well, you know why his last name is Schwimmer?
Because he's good at swimming?
That would also be a good answer. But the reason I believe, because Kelazhur is a fighter, you know. Swimmers don't just go down, right? They don't just go down, they don't drown. They swim to their dying last breath. He'll doggy paddle if he has to, stay in this series. And I believe in that.
Yeah, I could very well see that. Now, SpeCial, we haven't really...
like, Fear Dragon says absolute garbage nonsense. I very well could believe that. I'm like, wow, you've been watching a lot of Artosis.
I'm not gonna judge anyone for saying garbage nonsense. That's kind of my special move. So
I know.
But yeah, I mean, we have on the other side, of course, we've said his name twice, though, his full name twice. So I feel like we should say of SpeCial that his name is, as well as people are aware, Juanito, but more accurately, Juan Carlos Tena Lopez. Son of Maru.
What do you think Lopez means?
What do I think Lopez means? It's just the last name.
It's like the bottom of the Pez dispenser. It's like the low bottom of the Pez dispenser.
Oh, I see. Like it. Would there be
it's the best one.
Use
the best
in,
Pez?
Is it the best Pez? Okay. Yeah. If there's differencing, I would guess that the first Pez would be the best Pez. Like it's diminishing returns with all food as far as our.
It depends, because you know the idea of a Pez dispenser is that you keep it's something you keep around for a while. So it's like the last stick of gum, right? It's the one that you savor the most.
I see. Or they're also collectibles.
Maybe he just gets stale. Maybe he's stale.
Yeah, and Pez flasks or whatever you call them are collectibles too. So someone that doesn't like them would be happy about like, yeah, this is the last one. And the Pez, whatever they're called, the little containers, they're collectible, right? Like some of them have like the little heads on top of them. No, am I thinking of something wrong?
I think this is not you like saying it wrong. I think I've just never heard of this. So
Pez. I'm gonna Google Pez to make sure that I'm getting it right.
I just looked at the poll that just came up, and of course, guys, we're on a little bit of delay on seeing the polls for the stream, but whichever your SpeCial's old nicknames is your favorites, Major, Princess, Kitty, Cute Angel. I mean, personally, for me, Anna Prosser. That was a strange time. We entered into
that was a weird one, yeah.
With the name Anna Prosser.
Yeah. Juanito is really a special one, so yeah, I love to see it. And wow, that is a pretty decent run by actually killing a lot of stuff from Kelazhur already. He's 3 workers ahead on the back of that and has pretty good information to work with as well. Kelazhur is gonna try to inflict some pain on the other side, but what is this? A 3 Marine drop?
He can't go in. He actually brings those Marines back to deal with the 2 Reapers that are killing multiple workers now.
Yeah, I wonder if they were out on the hunt for those Reapers and he didn't see them double back here or something, but I don't know what a 3 Marine drop was supposed to do otherwise. This is a much heftier drop. Maybe stands a chance to do something, and at this point, Kelazhur already needs it.
You know, cats, it's okay. Because what Schwimmer stands for is that he's willing to doggy paddle his way out of trouble. No, this is really bad. This is really bad for Kelazhur. Taking that much economic damage. TVT, I feel like, is one of the most forgiving matchups in terms of being behind on workers. But even in TVT, that much damage this early on is brutal to take.
Oh, this is brutal also. Kelazhur
Oh.
recognizes that the medevac was not going to be able to get out in time. Instead, just drops the units and will take one Marine for his troubles. But that is just... I mean, he's gonna have to be the best swimmer in the world, right? To swim upstream like this, like some sort of salmon type person.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just sorry, Kat. You tried to run with it, and I'm just like, God, why didn't you just abandon that idea? Like that was just I can't believe how much respect you're giving the thing I said. Oh my God, I feel so bad for you. No, this is a really, really tough spot, and it is an upstream battle. I agree. It's one of those situations where I do feel like after the medevac drop died, it wouldn't have actually been that strange if Kelazhur had just tapped out there, because it's been that bad of a start. But you know, it's game 3. This is kind of like the do or die moment for the series. So he's going to give it his all. He's going to see what he can make happen. Kelazhur is going to have one of his tanks interference matrix. The other one gets interference matrix. And that was just not an army. Like, he's actually not able to attack his opponent anymore. And I think that SpeCial's looking for the kill move now.
He's going to need to be Michael Phelps right now. Michael Phelps and a half. This was just not working out, Ravi. It looks like it's GG, and SpeCial will close it out and move on to the winner's final.